Hello and welcome everybody to the latest edition of Midweek Matters. I'm your host, James Graham, and today I'm joined by young buck Charlie White.
James Graham, great to see your face on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Plenty has happened in the game of rugby league, mate. It was a very quiet sort of couple of weeks there.
Yes.
And this week it's just ramped up.
Oh my goodness me. 2 coaches.
Yep.
Some off-field drama that I guess does affect us.
Yeah, we're involved in that in one way or the other.
Yeah.
We may as well mention that off the top.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Obviously, just for context, for everyone on Monday's episode, when you and Buzz were together, we actually didn't know about the Brandon Smith situation at that point. It hadn't broken. So that's why we didn't talk about it on Monday's show. Obviously, we record shows. So on Monday, we record our show Monday lunchtime, gets released Tuesday morning first thing. But obviously, Cheese has decided, Jimmy, that he's not going to do the show while it's all going on, and we fully respect that.
Yeah, absolutely, and our thoughts are with him. Obviously, you see some words that are associated with the charges and the headlines, and it sort of knocks you off your chair a little bit, doesn't it? But obviously, we don't know the finer details of it, but the NRL, South Sydney, are going to stand by him, allow him to continue to play, but it's probably best for him to just probably not be on this particular platform at the moment.
Yeah. So, he's still going to be playing. NRL's not standing him down. Like you say, the charges look extreme, but the stories are starting to come out now. It looks as though one of the things was a tip for a first try score he gave to a friend, and the other stuff, sharing phone numbers and that sort. We don't. It's all very. Yeah, the details are out there, but I choose a friend of ours. Yeah, so I hope he's okay.
We do genuinely hope that he is okay and he can get through this, and if he fights the charges, we'll be 100% behind him.
Our message of the week, Jimmy. This one comes in
before we get into it, Charlie.
Yes.
2 rounds to go. You know how I feel about time like this season. I think because of how good it has been, it doesn't feel like it's ready. I don't want it to end.
I don't want the regular season to end just yet.
I don't want it to end, and there's still a lot to be decided. And then you think back to the start of the season, but it's funny, like 6 months ago we were in Vegas.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like 6 months ago, does it?
But if you went somewhere on a holiday, if you went to Vegas and it wasn't for work or for football, it's like, it wasn't that long ago. But because it wasn't. It was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it was 18 months ago as well. We were also there.
Yeah. A lot's changed, though. A lot's changed during this footy season. Obviously came to this new set after Vegas. It's been a bizarre, also most of the time when you get to sort of this time of the year, you get a lot of dud games, a lot of teams playing for nothing. An example of how different it is this year was the Tigers versus the Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval.
Yes.
It's one of my favourite games I've watched this year. And it's 2 teams. I know the Tigers were technically still in the finals race at that point, obviously not anymore. But it was 2 teams who pretty much nothing to play for, but it was just so entertaining. And it just goes to show the skill levels, even in those teams sitting 17th and 16th, are still so high.
Yeah, well, I think it shows that players that have got something to play for, whether it be international representation, whether it be their coach, that they're fighting for a positive end to the season on, which 2 are going to fall on the sword. And some would argue there could be a few more to go, but it seemed like the Cowboys at least had a dig, whether it was for their own interests in playing rep football or for their coach. We don't know, but it looks like Coach Payton is going to be safe.
On that, not necessarily. So he's obviously safe at the moment, but they're doing an internal review during the off-season. And if you've learned anything over the history of rugby league, when a review happens, it often doesn't work in the favour of the coach. So yes, he's safe for now, but this review could change everything, and that's going to happen as soon as the season finishes.
Yeah, all right, okay. Well, I think every club would have a review, but the fact that it's been made public, that's not ideal.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens to Todd Payton. Like you say, though, for me, the Cowboys have been the most disappointing team all year, though. Out of every team, given the roster they have, they should be making finals with that roster.
But mate, we could say that about a lot of rosters. It's hard because the standard is so high. And look, I already said it about the bottom 9 and what they've got to look forward to next year will not pure maths will tell you not all the bottom 9 can make the 8 next year. And there's teams in the 8 that, they're going to be there. They're going to stay. So it sets up for an exciting start to next year. But I guess with that excitement, that implies that there's going to be pressure because, 17 doesn't go into 8.
No. And like, you really think about it, like almost every team in that bottom 9, except maybe the Knights. The Knights is the only one where we're like, are they going to get better? But realistically, they bring Dylan Brown in. Ponga's fit. You'd imagine they get better, but all those teams are going to improve.
Well, probably the teams that could justify not making the 8 next year would be the Knights,
Dragons,
Gold Coast, and that's probably it. That could legitimately justify not playing finals, but going okay. Do you know what I mean? Like all the others, it's going to be, well, no, you're in the 8, or we've got some questions to ask.
Message of the week, Jimmy.
Yes,
it comes from Brad, who's emailed us in, and he says, I'm a paid up Panthers member, and I bought tickets to Thursday night against the Bulldogs. I've now seen that I'm going to be going to watch New South Wales Cup. What is doing? I want my ticket refunded.
Look, I do understand that point around this. Maybe devalues the game and devalues, I guess, the fan experience. Look,
I'm so sorry. I just choked on some water.
You all right? Do you need us to call an ambulance, Charlie?
Yeah, call an ambulance and choked on some water.
Choking on water.
It's gone down the wrong pipe.
Well, hopefully the Bulldogs don't choke in their game against them.
I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. You're back in the room. Look, I understand the point around how the fans could feel a bit dudded by this, especially the Penrith fans, maybe even the Bulldogs fans as well, maybe even the Bulldogs players. We spoke with Stuart Field, and I've been one of those players that when I was at St. Helens, I've gone up and faced a full team. They didn't know about it. The Bradford Bulls, they saw us come off the bus and thought, oh, right, I didn't realise there was an academy game on before us, and we were the actual lads that were playing. So I've been one of those players, and they'll be full of hope and all this. But from a fan perspective, look, I understand the frustration in the short term. But for me, this is Penrith doing the biggest flex to the remaining teams in the competition, especially the team that they play week 1. So I've looked at the ladder, and Penrith, I think they've writ this one off. They play the Dragons next week. You assume they'll get the 2 points. So they in all likelihood, they're going to finish 7th. And what this says to me is the Penrith are saying, we don't care where we need to go. We're on the road and we'll take you on. Because they technically, with their draw, they could have backed themselves to win two games and then looked at it and gone, the Sharks and the Broncos win 1. Right? Which would have put them in 5th or 6th and give themselves a home semi.
Yep.
But what they're saying by doing this is going, we don't particularly mind or too bothered about playing that first game at Combank. We'll go to Shark Park. We'll go to Brisbane. Hell, we'll even go to New Zealand and we'll take you on there rather than play one of those teams at Combank Stadium. It is such a huge flex of Penrith Panthers and their championship credentials that they're not even bothered about having the home semi. They're willing to take it wherever they need to go. This is, again, when I think about Panthers and the psychological battle pre-game, that they're in the opposition's head because they've won so many premierships back-to-back, because they've been to 5 grand finals in a row and won 4 of them in a row. Like, the difficulty of beating them is large enough. But then now they've flexed and said, and they are saying this, we don't even care if we're at home.
One of those reasons as well might be because their home record is actually worse than their road record. So they're 6 wins, 6 losses at home, 6 wins, 6 wins, 3 losses, and a draw away from home.
Yeah.
So they actually perform much better away from home. But you compare that with their record and what it was at Bluebet Stadium.
Yeah.
That is a complete different story. And if they were still playing out at Penrith, they would want that home final more. But for them, comeback isn't an advantage to them. They're already away from home.
Yeah, exactly. You know, for them to be at Penrith at home doesn't really. Yeah, it's not the same. So, it's a big flex for the finals. I think this is a masterstroke from them. I think it gets them freshened up. They've obviously had as well. What you've got to factor in is 3 of the past 4 games have gone to Golden Point.
Definitely the last 2.
Yeah, which taxes you not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. The fallout from the Melbourne Storm game as well. Like, professional athletes move on pretty quickly, but those things do stay with you. And Penrith, we know the championship qualities that they possess, but they're human, and that, like, Nathan Cleary was visibly upset, and he's normally so cool, calm, collected. I think Ivan was, in his press conference post that Melbourne game, and sometimes these things stay with you, and they're a drain on your emotional capacity, your physical capacity. It affects you. So I think this is a great move from Penrith in their long-term goal to win a premiership this year. When it looked like they may not make the 8, it looked like they were going to make the top 4. 2 Golden Point losses now look like that is an impossibility. So they're just going to say, no, you know what? This is our next big flex.
Do they double up and rest again next week? Now, they've got 12 wins and a draw. Probably the team that finishes 8th is going to end up on 12 wins, so they're not going to fall to 8th. So, realistically, they get nothing out of beating the Dragons.
That's a great point you make, Charlie. I'd say it would depend. I think they'll consult the players, but they're more likely to speak to the staff. But that would be a huge unknown to have 2 weeks off the whole group.
It's not going to hurt.
With no live practice. It isn't going to. Well, you don't know. You don't know, because that may be seen as taking it too far. And I'm not talking about from a fan perspective here. I'm talking about from the perspective of a playing group. It might be too much rest. Maybe that might be a step too far, and you actually you reach the point of, is the correct phrase, the diminishing return. So your return on having a week off is going to benefit you, but then 2 weeks, so 1 week off, you get the benefit. 2 weeks off, it actually becomes detrimental.
Yeah.
It's too much time off, and then you lose timing, you lose practice time, and I think maybe the Panthers would look at that game against the Dragons and say, well, look, if it goes well or whatever it is, we play Cleary for 60 minutes.
Yeah, true.
Yo's had a couple of injuries. Martin, it's like, or maybe play them off the bench.
Yeah, that's true.
Just give them enough live practice. Again, treat it as a
scrimmage.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And you know what? I understand the pushback, but this is a top 8 system. It's not first past the post. They're in the mixer.
I also can understand.
They've earned this. They've earned this.
They have. But I do understand if you did pay money for the ticket, and then,
of course,
some people might have. Some people maybe only get lucky enough to go to a game a year, 2 games a year, and they might have bought the tickets for this game thinking it was going to be tremendous, and then everyone's been rested. So I can understand, and that might be what happened to Brad. So I can understand where he's coming from.
I understand it too, and let's look at it from a Bulldogs perspective. Like, they've gone back-to-back losses now in big games, and they would have been relishing this challenge. And even look at the broadcasters and all the fans. We saw the show that these two teams put on. We were all looking forward to round 26 and seeing them do it all over again. Yep. We may have to wait until a finals game. I hope we do see those two teams go after each other in finals, because it was arguably the game of the season.
Yeah. On resting, everyone's talking about Canberra resting the final game of the season. I don't think they will rest. I just think coming first this year is such a huge advantage. And Canberra, based on for and against, Storm will, if they lose one game, Storm will get the minor premiership if they win their last 2 games. And for me, playing the Warriors instead of playing the Bulldogs is a huge difference.
That's if the Warriors get 4.
Yeah, well, Warriors, they've probably got to win. They might have to win both games.
They're gonna have to, I think
they might have to win both. Depends what happens to Broncos and Sharks, because Storm have rested a lot of players this week as well. So then are they going to rest those players in the final game of the season? Probably not.
You know what? Storm haven't rested that many.
Well, they've rested who they rested? I wrote it down on the sheet. They've rested Harry Grant's out suspended. Hang on, Xavier Coates. Hang on. Xavier Coates has been rested. Nick Meaney, Eliesa Katoa, Josh King, and then, of course, Harry Grant's out suspended.
And Cameron Kemetha's HIA.
Yep.
Yeah, so
and Hughes is out injured.
They've rested 4.
Yeah.
They've rested 4.
4 key players, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still enough there for Melbourne.
But what I mean is that those players will probably all play against the Storm, against the Broncos, and then maybe they rest Pappenhauser and Munster and stuff against the Broncos. Who knows? Who knows with Melbourne?
Well, it's going to be a fascinating last round before we look too far ahead, because we obviously will preview that next week. But the position of the top 8 and the top is all going to go down to that last game, because the way things may pan out this week, if Dolphins win, then and Roosters lose, Dolphins will jump into the 8. The Roosters could beat Souths and wait till the last game on the Sunday to see if the Dolphins can beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
And if the Raiders need to wait in order to wrap up that minor premiership, we may even see, because I think Melbourne play, is it next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
So if they don't win that game, then the Raiders might react as best they can. They'll have a 24-man
squad at that point. 23.
You have to name a 21.
Yeah.
And they might make some late moves and decide if the Storm. So if the Raiders need to win, they'll go full strength. But if they don't, they could make some last minute changes. I think it'll be a 21-man squad.
22-man squad.
And because that game is the Sunday, they can react on the Friday and make those changes.
Got about 5 players. Yeah, good shout. Also, the 10 biggest stories of the decade, part 2 of that's coming on Sunday. Michael Chamis, yourself, and me did that, and it was good fun. It was awesome.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
And a lot of good feedback for that podcast. So if you do like that stuff, let us know, because we obviously we are doing interviews still.
Yeah.
But it's more sparingly, just because Jimmy's done 150 almost guests, so there's only so many people in the game of rugby league to speak to, and there's so many of those interview style shows out there. Obviously, Bloke and a Bar does some. Backstage guys with Matty Johns and Cooper Johns and Jack Johns do an awesome job. Guru Next Door does interviews. Hello Sport do interviews. So there's a lot of those interview shows. So we're trying to change up and keep things fresh, because we don't want you guys to have to listen to the same stories that you've heard before.
Yeah. No. If there are any ideas out there, let us know.
So done the 10-year ladder so far. Stories of a decade off the field. You know what, we're probably going to do on the field as well for that.
Yeah, they are good fun. Yeah. They are good fun. But no, just back to the Penrith thing. It's psychological warfare 2 weeks out before the finals. Big flex, because what I see from this is whatever. We'll take you on, and we'll go to your own backyard.
Yeah,
and we're not afraid of that.
And we'll batter you.
It is they're saying it to the Sharks, they're saying it to to Broncos, and they're saying it to the Warriors. And then week 2, I mean, it's the same predicament anyway.
Absolutely. Jimmy, another coach is sacked. Adam O'Brien. Now, he joined the club in 2020. This is his 6th season in charge. He's made finals 4 of the last 6 seasons. They hadn't made finals when he arrived since 2013. So Nathan Brown started that rebuild. Got 3 spoons, Nathan Brown, and then he recruited some players, and they came 11th 2 years in a row. But yeah, he's been there since 2020, 4 out of 6 finals, 44% win record, but his time's up.
Yeah. Initial reaction is that I feel for Adam O'Brien. I feel for Des and any coach that gets moved on. You know, it's his. You can see he's a very passionate coach when you look to the box, and he's been there for a long time, and yet the knock on him is, he's been unable to take this roster to further down the track and advance them further into finals. It's like, Okay. Can you show me a coach that can or would with that roster?
Yeah.
Like 4 out of 6 seasons into finals with the roster that he's got, respectfully speaking, that is overachieving. So he's overachieved at the Knights. And the talk of he's been unable to get them into that Final Four or a top 4 team, it's like that. And people will point to different examples. Oh, the Warriors did it and the Raiders did it. And that's true. So things like that do happen. But from what he's achieved at the Knights, in my opinion, it's been beyond what the unbiased NRL fan would expect.
Best season was they came 5th in 2023. Now, an important thing to note on that as well is Kalyn Ponga, while Adam O'Brien's been there, has played 20 games in one season, just one. And that was in 2023 where they came 5th. So, and he only played 20 games in that season as well, mind you.
Yeah. Obviously, he's got Origin as well, which
no, but mate,
makes him
20 games is an Origin issue. That's like, and if you're Kalyn Ponga and you're paid $1.5 million, you probably back up. It's more important to back up when you're on that bigger salary. To only play 20 games, his fitness has been a huge issue to why it hasn't worked out for Adam O'Brien as well.
Yeah. And when people criticise the Knights this year, it's been around their attack, but they've not had him for so much of this year. And look, I know their defence has dropped off a cliff lately, but for a long period of the season, they were up there with the best defensive teams in the competition. They also faced a number of games where I felt like they were fighting for Adam O'Brien's future when he came under the microscope, and it looked to me like the players were digging in, like having a dig for him. So look, where do Newcastle go from this? We were talking earlier. The favourite is
front runners are Blake Green, which honestly is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. He's the attack coach, and they've got the worst attack in the competition. He's the current Knights attack coach. Like, how he's even being remotely considered is beyond me. He's obviously managed by Isaac Moses. Could be a reason why. And then the other front runner is Justin Holbrook.
Yeah, well, look, but Blake Green, like, nothing against him, but I guess looking at the situation, you go, well, what do the Knights need? Probably fresh ideas. And if they are going to promote from within, you've got Blake Green there and Brian McDermott, who Brian McDermott has won premierships with Leeds Rhinos, many, in fact, and Challenge Cups.
And looks after their defence, which is actually a decent side of the team.
So if you're going to promote from within, which very rarely do we see that tack being taken, the promotion from within, I don't know if it's a fine tuning. And if you were going to do that, even just quickly back to O'Brien before we go over some of the potential candidates, and just because this example worked doesn't mean that it would work everywhere, but look at the patience that the Canberra Raiders showed. Just spoke about them being top of the ladder. The Raiders faced some pressure from fans to get rid of Ricky Stewart, but with the benefit of hindsight, looking back, there was no one better to figure out the issues and fine-tune those issues than the man himself that was there at the head of the table. So, and we've heard those quotes around how Ricky Stewart changed, and maybe that was just a slight tweak from Adam O'Brien, but because of all the issues, of all the problems there, he'd be the one to know how to figure those out. He just brought Dom Young back to the club. He just brought Dylan Brown. So there's some big things around fixing up the attack, which has been an issue. Dom Young instantly makes them look better in attack. Dylan Brown remains to be seen about what he can do, but it's clear that they've invested heavily in him, and it's seen as a bit of a hope to bring out the best in Ponga. Both of those being fit is going to be vital for any chance. But then Bradman Best, Dominic Young, you can start to look ahead with a bit of optimism. But
Leo Thompson's leaving though.
Of course, Leo Thompson leaving.
Adam Elliott's leaving.
Yeah, I think that's
a choice by the Knights.
That's a choice by the Knights. But the example of Ricky Stewart, I said this before, around how teams maybe should stick a bit more solid with their coaches. If there's enough there, which in my opinion there is. But then, like I say, to promote from within just doesn't really seem exactly what the Knights are after. I think fresh ideas, and then.
But not only to promote from within as well, he's got no experience, and he looks after their attack. So it's like, what can Blake Green hang his hat in as a coach? Nothing. No. In all honesty, nothing. He's so young. He's only been retired a few years. He's like, why his name's even being brought up is crazy. He's got to go do.
Well, I'd have Brian McDermott ahead of Blake Green. Well, and look, I played against Green. He was a great player, and I don't know much about him as a coach, but it does seem strange that he's the favourite at the moment.
Yeah. Justin Holbrook's interesting though. I actually think I can understand why he probably does deserve another crack. When you look at the graveyard of coaching that is the Gold Coast Titans, that was his first chance as a head coach in the NRL. Obviously had a lot of success in the Super League. He then got snapped up as an assistant at the Roosters. So you don't go.
The Roosters would let him go, you know.
You thought they have let him go?
No, I don't know if they would let him.
They've said they we're willing to. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So he's only signed on there until the end of 26. So he's only got one more year on his deal, and they're happy for him to pursue that if he decides to. But the Roosters don't get a guy in unless they're a gun coach. Like Trent Robinson is one of the smartest minds in the game. He's gone and said, "Oh yeah, Justin Holbrook would add something to our team." Yeah. That's why he's brought him in. You've spoken to him. You interviewed him. He was a great chat. He's a great coach. So for someone like, I know people probably hear his name and don't get overly excited, given it didn't work out at the Titans. But do you think he could be a good name for them to bring in?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So for me, I think he'd definitely be deserving of another shot at NRL coaching. You've got a huge number of assistant coaches that names keep being brought up. The Dean Youngs, the Ben Hornbys, the Ben Teos of the world, you know, that I always say about Chad Randall, who's done a magnificent job there in the assistant coach's role. He knows the defence as well. He didn't build it, but he's the one that implements the defence structure. So you've got a number of assistant coaches in and around the NRL at probably most successful clubs that, you know, would be sought after. But then you look over in England, and you can't ignore what Willie Peters is doing with Hull KR.
Talk us through Hull KR a bit, because for our Australian audience, they're a bit like the West Tigers, aren't they, back in England?
Oh man alive, the Hull KR, like they were an up and down, not an up and down in the top 8. Obviously, we've got promotion relegation over there, but they were a team that were associated with being down the bottom end of the table and fighting to stay in the competition. And that was, you know, 10 years ago maybe, or 15 years ago when I was there. But then even in recent history, like, they've been up and down. Like, they would not have been considered a strong club by any stretch of the imagination. And they have catapulted and like literally jumped so many teams. And it seems to be coincided with Willie Peters' arrival in terms of Challenge Cups and League Leaders Shield. They've
got a wealthy owner now, have they? Who's taken over recently in the last few years?
Some money into them, but still, like, you need the coach to help guide them. And also, like, after you win a Challenge Cup, teams normally fall off because it is such a relief. Like, you win the Challenge Cup and your season's set. And they did that months ago. And, you know, like I say, I've been part of those teams where we've won the Challenge Cup, and it's, you know, it's not the same. But he's got them to the League Leaders Shield, like, again, in all likelihood. And then they'll be one of the red-hot favourites to win the grand final at Old Trafford.
Yeah. His name is in the mix as well.
He could,
but he should be the front runner. I agree with you.
He can't do any more.
Yeah.
He can't. And when people look at that real-life experience as opposed to the rookie of an assistant coach, like, he's got all the runs on the board.
Yeah.
Like, he's done absolutely everything possible.
Brad Arthur's the other one. And obviously the connection there is Matt and Jake Arthur. His sons are both playing for Newcastle Knights at the moment. The interesting thing is Ponga, though.
But I think Brad Arthur's agreed a long-term deal
but
at Leeds,
that wouldn't stop him from going. I think Leeds wouldn't stand in his way if he has an NRL opportunity. I think he's got that clause in his contract actually over there at Leeds.
Yeah, with his sons being there, that actually might work against him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Brad, I understand how he would want that. But from an ownership perspective or a decision-making perspective, I think you can forecast and go, oh, we're inviting more pressure on ourselves here than what is necessary. Again, like with due respect to Brad, it's not like, oh, we're really going to miss out. If we go with the Willie Peters over a Brad Arthur, I think you can make a stronger case for Willie Peters. Like, Brad's done a great job at Leeds, by the way. Like, I'm not going to discount that. But I'd have Willie Peters ahead of him based off that. And then also, why as an owner would they invite that headache?
Yeah, exactly. But Willie Peters, he's could end up being the coach who can sort of pick his own job. And maybe he looks at the Knights job and says, it's not a job I want, because you look at their cap and next year they've got 25% of their cap assigned to Kalyn Ponga and Dylan Brown.
That's mind-boggling.
It is when you consider, obviously Ponga's a superstar, but when he can't stay in the paddock. He's played 29 games in the last 2 years. 29 games, that's all. Like, to give him $1.5 million, and then Dylan Brown's on a 10-year, $13 million deal, and Dylan Brown hasn't... Well, like, if you think about halfbacks, now he's going there to play 7. Where would Dylan Brown rank in halfbacks? I don't even know if he'd be in the top 10. And he's going to go there on $1.3 million a year.
Yeah, where would he rank? Well, definitely not in the top 5. You go Cleary, Katoa, Moses, Hughes...
Adam Reynolds.
There's 3.
Nico Hines. I'd have Nico Hines above Dylan Brown. I'd have Jamal Fogarty above Dylan Brown. I'd have Sam Walker above Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
I'd have Jerome Lawler's more playing 5'8" these days, so I won't include him.
We paint the picture. Lockie Galvin.
Lockie Galvin. Honestly, man, if I was a club, though, I'd rather have Lockie Galvin
me too.
than Dylan Brown, just given his high potential, and he's a lot younger than Dylan Brown.
Me too. I guess, look, that's a different issue, but 25, but in terms of the acquisition of a coach, that's a lot of money to have in any 2 players. That would be obviously the 2 of the highest paid players in the game, but all at the same club. You're asking a lot of your people around them.
Yeah.
Like, even look at Melbourne. Like, what percentage of the cap would they have in Munster and Hughes?
Well, they'd probably be on about 1.8 between the 2 of them. Next year that would go up a bit, but at the moment, the way it is currently,
about 2 mil.
Next year that will go up a bit.
Yeah, and they operate differently. That not only have they got those 2, but also the percentage in Munster, Hughes, Grant, Pappenhausen. Like, that would take maybe a third of the cap on 4 players, but the most influential players.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's understandable.
Yeah.
In fact, that's arguably under what it should be, considering the influence on games.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, like, if that, like, is the Knights even a good job? Because we spoke about it on like, who's got the bleakest future? You said it was the Newcastle Knights, or we discussed it being the Newcastle Knights. Like, I don't know, it's a tough one. And then if they go with someone like Blake Green, like, if I was a Knights fan and they just sold out the game against the Broncos, their last home game of the season, they've got nothing really to go watch because they're playing for nothing except maybe getting a spoon, get a win to avoid the spoon. Like, I would feel so flat if Blake Green is the guy that ends up coming in.
Oh, look, I mean, you'd rally behind him, but what's the, I guess, the bullet points under Blake Green's name about what he's going to be able to do?
The only thing I've heard so far is the players like him, which who cares? Like, the players might like the next guy that comes in.
Players like most assistant coaches because it's a different role. And again, we spoke about Ricky Stewart, how he knows the problems that need to be fixed, and maybe you could argue that Blake Green knows the problems that need to be fixed. That is pretty much it.
Yeah,
like he's aware of the situation. He's got, he's got the fingers in those pies of what needs to be fixed. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I've got good rapport with the players. Well, things change when you become when you go from assistant to head coach.
Exactly. When you start sacking players, not picking players, being in charge of all that. On Ponga though, there were whispers during Origin time that he might have told a few of his Knights teammates that he was going to actually be leaving. Obviously, the report came out by Michael Chammas that he was there was an offer there from Rugby R360, and he was also looking at maybe going to Union anyway. He came out and denied it, Ponga, but that might have just been the PR battle that he was trying to win by coming out. It would be very interesting to see what happens now and what happens with this next Knights head coach, and if they decide that maybe Ponga isn't the player they want to have anymore, given how often he stays in the field and given he's getting paid $1.5 million.
Well, Charlie, it's funny you mentioned that. My automatic thought when you were talking about Kalyn Ponga and future is, and I'm not accusing him of this, but how much, obviously we go back to that meeting with new head of football or Peter Parr, and he's got an
CEO there now as well, yeah.
He had that meeting behind closed doors with Kalyn Ponga, and you just wonder how much potentially this move is around the wants and needs of Kalyn Ponga. And maybe he's made a suggestion, maybe, I don't know, and I'm not accusing him of this, but my thought goes to, or maybe he said to the power brokers, like, oh, we need a new coach. And we've seen many a player in football clubs sort of certainly not demand it, but suggest it, because Kalyn holds a lot of power there, and his voice adds weight to the conversation, and they would be like, you were talking about bleak outcomes, but he's a shining light there, and he can be one of the best players in the game, and people could argue he's on too much money, and we've just looked at that percentage of cap, and you could make a case for, well, you need him out the door and we rebuild, but I don't buy into that philosophy. I think in Kalyn, you've got something incredibly special, and maybe this is the play to keep him. Maybe. I think, I even look at the Gold Coast and then moving on from Hasler. Like, how much of a play is this, especially with Hane coming in, going, that's the play to keep Tino and Fifita.
Yeah. Well, I think they're happy still to let Fifita go, but for Tino, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And sometimes that's how football clubs operate. We're backed into a corner here, and that's who we want to keep over the coach. We want to keep that player happy, or this particular group of players happy, and the best way to do that is, if they're not seeing eye to eye with the coach, they move that person on.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with
like
the Titans and Tino.
Yeah.
My only thing for the Knights would be...
But then again, with Tino, he spoke so glowingly about Des, and I know...
He also spoke so glowingly about Josh Hane as well.
Yeah.
And mate, what are you going to do if a journo asks you?
Yeah, true.
What are you going to say? You're going to be, I'm stoked. No, but if you didn't ask Tino. Oh, when you spoke to him. But that was the start of the season as well. Lots changed since then. Lots changed since then. And Des Hasler's intensity wore those Titans players out a bit. And you know exactly what it's like to play under Des Hasler. On the Knights, though, like, the only thing where I think they might not have let on Kalyn Ponga is if they know he's heading out the door, and maybe they're happy to see the back of him as well.
I don't think the game would be.
No, it wouldn't be.
It would be, because I think that he said, I'll be here next year, right?
He said, I'll be here until I'm signed until 2027.
So he's not a November 1 guy, though, is he?
No, he's not. So he's until the end of 2027.
Yeah, so he's got 2 years left.
Yeah. I could see a world where we, open up our phones on a day November 6th, and all of a sudden it says Kalyn Ponga's going to rugby, the Knights have let him go. I think that's a chance of happening this off-season. Let's talk quickly on the Titans, because you brought up Dave Fifita. That's pretty much a done deal at South. He's going to be going there for next year.
That's interesting.
So that will break over the next sort of few weeks, months or so. But they've got to sort out their cap and get him in. But that is really far down the line now with Wayne Bennett and Dave Fifita. So he'll be joining South.
That obviously means Kaloa Matangi's now going to be a front rower.
Yep.
Cam Murray will be lock.
Yep.
Fifita on an edge.
Tallis Duncan either in the centres or in the back row. It's a good get for them.
Oh, mate.
And Titans are going to chuck in some money for that as well.
Mate, well, they're going to have to, because I don't think South could afford to keep him. They're going to free probably some money up with Lewis Dodd, looking like he may move on, ironically, to the Titans. So I'm sure they could look at some, not a direct player swap, but there would be, you know, a roster spot freed up either way. I could imagine Lewis Dodd doing a great job at the Gold Coast as well. Like I still think he's got something to offer the NRL. I really hope he stays, and I think there's an offer there for him at the Catalan Dragons. But I hope he stays in the NRL, gives it a crack. I'm desperate for him to prove himself, that he belongs in this competition, which I think he does. Fifita to Souths, I mean, look, he fits the bill in terms of the type of player and the roster that they're assembling. And yeah, it'll probably mean Kalyn Ponga to middle, front row, maybe even Jairo as well. But we know what Fifita can do at his barnstorming best. It's being at the environment where he wants to do that.
Yeah. South's going to be a force next year then if they can bring him in, and if Wayne can get the best out of him, all the players come back. They're like we spoke about just earlier. Teams are going to improve South, so one of them.
Well, but a lot of teams, they're praying to the injury gods over the off-season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like South season, really, mate. And when we do our end-of-season review, it was over before it began.
It's funny, we said that. We did this podcast about how their season was over, and he popped as soon as Camo popped his Achilles.
Yeah.
Then they started well. They were like 3 wins and one loss. Oh, maybe not, but it all fell apart.
But mate, that was always going to catch up with South.
Yeah, it was.
They Fifita will add some devastation. Like imagine if he plays on the left, and he's got like that's Mitchell's go-to side.
Yeah,
you've got
Cody
Walker, Johnson.
Yeah. Tallis Duncan maybe in the centres there. He's looked all right in the centres.
Yeah.
Or they're going to have Campbell Graham in there. You know,
Jack Whiten.
Jack Whiten.
You'd
if
have
he's
Jack
back.
Whiten.
Yeah, of course.
Imagine,
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, deadly.
The right-hand side may as well not even bother practicing plays.
And
See,
also,
I'm being serious,
Fifita wants to play on the left. That was the issue.
Yeah.
He was getting put on the right and he didn't like it, but
Oh
Bo
my
Fermor was on the
God.
left. So you imagine that Fifita will be on the left.
Jack Whiten, Cody Walker, and Alex Johnson.
Tries.
Oh, how do you defend that?
Yeah, you don't.
You just don't give the ball. You have to go 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't.
A team that's coming in 2027, Jimmy, the Perth Bears. Now, it's an odd little crew they're putting together from the Backstars, and I mean this with all due respect. They've brought a journo in and Anthony DeSiglio as their CEO. They've now brought a man who's worked as the AFP for most of his career, David Sharp, as their new GM of football. It's really odd. I went through his LinkedIn because I was like, who is this guy? I'd never heard of him before. He was the CEO of the Anti-Doping Authority, and he was there when they were taking care of the Asada investigation, all that sort of stuff. Most recently, he was the CEO of Sports Integrity Australia. But most of his career at the AFP, which is the Australian Federal Police. It's quite bizarre, but a man who's been involved in mostly sports governance his entire career is their new GM of football.
Yeah. I'm more interested about you on LinkedIn, Charlie. You're all
I did
over
a deep dive. He had a year at Canberra Raiders as well in 06.
Yeah, I don't know much about the individual, but David Sharp.
But you're not worried at all about this crew. They've got a guy who's not got no CEO experience, their CEO, and now a man who's got no GM of football experience as their GM, and they've got Mal Meninga, who hasn't been a head coach in the NRL for a long, long time as their coach.
I think you go. It doesn't look like the ingredients. I think Mal as the coach is just fine, but that support staff around him. I think they've got the guy from Penrith, the assistant.
Have they? Cool.
Yeah. To go in. I can't.
Peter Wallace?
No.
I'll check it. I'll search it for you. I'll search for you when you talk.
But look, they've made these appointments. You would have thought they would have gone with someone with more of a footballing background, and with a bit more experience in that role.
Ben Gardner,
that's it. Yeah, he's going to go as the assistant coach. You'd think in order to help attract players and setting up of a program, it would be beneficial to have some prior experience and knowledge and be. I guess they'll be judged, won't they, on their first season, and like they're getting ready to make some big splashes now. When it comes
recruitment
to
for them starts officially in about 6 weeks' time.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll have some irons in the fire.
Yeah, sorry, 10 weeks' time. And that was awful. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have some irons in the fire.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, like, technically, November 1 is when they can start signing players.
Well, one thing I'm happy is they're starting to build that team and they can get some plans laid because obviously they've got 12 months before the group come together. But the biggest thing is recruitment. And the reason why I think there's a potential thing to fall over there with the lack of experience. It's we know within the game, Charlie, how relationships work and how important they are. And you mentioned about Isaac Moses at the start, like having good relationships with player managers or having a relationship with player managers is vital. Like, they're going to be in the know, and you've got to. There's a lot of players that will be coming to Perth Bears as relatively unknowns for most of these people. So you've got to be across all that, and you don't want to get sold a dud.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to recruit players as well. The Dolphins struggled, and they were recruiting players to Brisbane. Yeah, it's getting players to move to Perth is going to be tough. They also
you're not on this train. Oh.
I'm telling
you sound like Brent Reed.
It's a long flight, mate.
It's a long flight. But it's Perth.
Yes,
it's a beautiful
city. It's 5.5 hours of flight away, though.
But if you're living there, it's different.
Yeah, but imagine if you're part of their cup feeder team. So you play for the Perth Bears. You're going flying, doing that flight back to New South Wales every single bloody week.
How will they do it?
It's Jimmy. It's a 10 hours a week on a plane.
If you sign for them, play well enough that you're not in the.
I did it, and I went there for Origin. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to go.
I know. To start a GoFundMe page.
I knocked me back
Charlie's recovery from Perth 2 months ago. Hey,
I reckon they're going to struggle to recruit players.
I don't think they will
at all. So who's going to go there then? I don't think they're going to get Tino. I can't see Tino going there. The Cam Munster thing's obviously a possibility, but that's the kind of person they're going to get. Someone who's maybe getting towards the back end of their career.
Man,
and it's that big final deal. Of course, it'll be amazing. But this will be Munster's like last big deal if he goes and does that.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Okay. I'm willing to give. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Look, there are some like red flags there, but give them time.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Munster because he actually has spoken already about how long the flight is as well.
What are you suggesting?
I'm saying maybe he's on. Maybe he was on, and then he's like, "Oh, after doing the flight for Origin, he got off it."
I reckon you were on that flight, and you were like half an hour in. Oh God, this is forever.
Yeah,
you just dragged him down.
Yeah. It was.
You know what?
I bought Wi-Fi, and it was Virgin. Virgin doesn't have Wi-Fi. Having to pay for Wi-Fi on Virgin, that's ridiculous. Just give it to me for free. If you got it there, let me use it.
That's called entitlement, Charlie. It's a service, and you have to. It's not part of the. I know on Qantas you do get it free, but on Virgin you don't. You get free food and drinks on Qantas. You don't on Virgin.
Yeah, that's true. The worst on Jetstar, where they don't even offer it. Like it's a money making opportunity for you, Jetstar. You're leaving money on the table there. I'd love to know what the cost of installing Wi-Fi on a plane is. And I think they could.
You'd actually love to know. I'm sure if you ask ChatGPT,
ChatGPT makes a lot of mistakes, guys. Just be careful of that.
Yeah, be careful. Of that. Charlie White said it. Perth's a long way away. ChatGPT makes a lot of mistakes. This is the future with Charlie White. Maybe Perth should get you on the recruitment board. You got and the tourist board.
I'm happy to be a regional media manager, so look after the Sydney media requests at an hourly rate. So just based on what I do for the week, and I'll get charged out at that. So instead of paying someone, you're probably gonna have to pay a media manager. Maybe $100,000 a year. I'll do it for an hourly rate. I'll give you about 10 hours, and you'll probably save yourself about $50,000 a year by doing that.
Maybe you could get that slogan going for the Perth Tourist Board. Perth, it's a long way away.
It's a long way away. Yeah, siege mentality every week,
and that is like a good thing. You're leaving Sydney and Brisbane and Melbourne behind. It's a long way away. Yeah, but
Melbourne is Melbourne's way better than Perth as a city. Way better. Way better.
I think Perth's got a lot to offer.
It's all right. Like I've been to Perth a couple of times. So it's very spread out. You have to drive everywhere, and there's some good beaches and stuff. But it's I don't know.
We had England 2017 World Cup team had a lot of time in Perth, and a lot of the chat in the team room was this place needs a team, and we were all like myself, Sam Burgess, George Williams, Josh Hodgson, Whitehead, Bateman. We were all like, no, we'll come. Like, we actually our old group chat brought it up not long ago. Like, hey, we had this idea all the way back in 2017.
Yeah.
Obviously the ship has sailed for most of us, but
not for Herbie Farnworth though. He's a November 1 guy.
He wasn't part of it.
No, I know, but he's a November 1 guy. So an Englishman could lead the way there because they talked about needing English players over there. And if you give Herbie a bit over $1 million, he's getting closer to home as well. You get him one flight from home.
God. It's not that far away. It's not one flight to home. It's a flight to London. This is the thing a lot of Aussies don't get, where you go, oh yeah, you're closer to England. It's like, no, you're closer to London.
Yeah, well,
not closer to
how long? Oh, it's 45 minutes to get a flight from London to Manchester or something like that, wouldn't it be? England's the size of a fingernail, basically.
No, but there's not that many flights from. But again,
from London to Manchester, please. There'd be every half an hour. There'd be a flight.
Anyway,
yeah.
we go off track.
So I brought up Melbourne. Craig Bellamy 600 this weekend.
600 games.
Yeah, it's incredible. And mate, look, so he came there in 2003. They haven't finished lower than 6th since he got there, except for the year where they had their points stripped in 2010.
It is pretty incredible that the consistency, but I think sometimes when you hear the word consistency, you think the same, and you think it's just doing the same things over and over again. And obviously, there's some core principles at the fundamental base of what the Melbourne Storm do and why that's been successful. A lot of that is in and around working hard, and what that means to Melbourne is likely different to most other football clubs or even sporting organisations around the world. Their geographical location really helps them, I feel, and that environment. We hear about the character test, but when we look at Melbourne, or when I look at Melbourne, those 600 games, consistency, but also his and their ability to change the style of football that they play. When they had those successful teams that relied on Slater, Cronk, Smith, versus the team now we see of Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen, and Grant. Obviously, they're very different. I'd love to see those, like the simulation of both of those teams go up against each other, because their styles are very different. They're I guess their strategy of playing the game is different as well, which is probably the most undervalued aspect of Coach Bellamy's coaching, is the fact that he stayed the same, but he's evolved at the same time.
Changed his game plan. Surely with the longevity, he's Australia's greatest ever sporting coach across all codes.
He's in the... I don't know much about other sporting organisations, but within the NRL, there's like himself and Bennett.
But surely Bellamy's done more than Bennett.
Obviously, staying at the one organisation, that there's pros and cons to that. I think with, you look at like Messi and Ronaldo. A lot of people talk about Ronaldo, the fact that he's gone and won and scored multiple, like hundreds of goals in different competitions. He's dominated in Italy, in Spain and England, where Messi was just purely Spain. He came through at Barca, and obviously he's into Miami now. But, there's pros and cons for both of those. And with Bellamy v. Bennett, I think, it's a great pub, cafe debate around who is better and why, and what is there more value in. Is there more value in staying at the one team and evolving them, or is there more value in going to Brisbane, to the Dragons, to the Knights, England, New Zealand, Australia, Queensland, Dolphins? Like
the rep stuff for Bennett is obviously fantastic. Like, he was part of the staff when New Zealand won the World Cup as well. He's part of that, as a coaching advisor there, and the worst Origin team of all time as well was a huge achievement for Wayne Bennett. But in terms of clubland, like, he hasn't won a comp since 2010.
Yeah, a lot of coaches haven't.
I know, but if you're going Bennett, Bellamy, it's a big drought. It's a Bellamy's favour.
I get 100%. Yeah. But again, like, just regardless of the success, to be in that profession for as long as he has, like, it's been an incredible life. I can only imagine that what it's like inside his head. And he just keeps on going. Yeah, what an achievement, what a life. And it's obviously it's not over yet.
He's a fitness freak as well. He trains like crazy in the morning. He at Triple M in Melbourne. He actually trains at the gym downstairs at Triple M Melbourne, and everyone at Triple M Melbourne tells me he's there every morning, early, sprinting up and down these stairs, like sprinting up and down them first thing in the morning every day.
On the Stairmaster or the actual?
There's
stairs?
actual stairs. It's like a gym in there. I think it's like a basketball court, and there's stairs there.
Yeah.
He sprints up and down that every morning.
There's something to be said in that, in getting out there.
Yeah.
Even though he's got such a demanding job, he's getting after it. And I think, you know what, sometimes that's infectious on the players. Wayne, when we were in England, like, he doesn't watch the army camp. He's in it.
He's in it. Is he really?
Mm-hmm. He's carrying stuff, and he was in his 70s. It's like, it says a lot.
Yeah, if he's willing to do it.
That rubs off on the players. You see, you practice what you preach. It's, and I think he'd be doing it for, I'm going to assume, health and well-being reasons, but there's some flow-on effects from that. Whether it's part of the motivation, I don't know, but it certainly has an impact on the players.
Well, I think I've heard a player, and I can't remember who the player was who told this story, so apologies, but they got to Melbourne, they moved to Melbourne to play there, and they like get into the gym early before everyone else and, get extra reps in and help them feel like they were doing the right thing. He got to the gym to lift weights, and Bellamy was covered in sweat on the rowing machine, just already smashed out a huge workout. Like.
Royce Simmons used to hammer himself on the rowing machine.
Did he?
And when you look at rowers, Royce Simmons was not born to row. But Jesus Christ, he had a dig. Royce Simmons again, like he ran marathons to raise money to sign Des Hasler.
Yeah,
when he was coach at Hull FC.
Yeah,
like,
wow,
it's bananas.
Wow.
Yeah,
we'll preview the round, Jimmy.
Yeah, let's get into it, Charlie.
Great round of footy. Obviously starts Thursday. I'm flat about this one. I was looking forward to going to this game, but it's Doggies, the Panthers, New South Wales Cup team taking on the Doggies without Kickow. This hasn't made much noise, but Harry Hayes is out for 6 weeks. That's a huge loss for you guys.
Mate, he's been sensational. I've got so much admiration for him. Like, he's come on so much as a player in the last 12, 18 months. The chase back on, I can't remember who it was, before the coach try where Pezzett kicked it over across the field. That was Harry Hayes, remarkable player. He'll be missed. Josh Curran comes back in, obviously Kickow. Rested, I think, as well. But
Kickout's been in hospital, actually.
Oh, yes. Because
he's been on an IV since the game. I don't know how serious that is, and like it's infection.
There's a fair bit of this getting around.
Yeah,
like
infections,
the old skin infections, the old boils.
Yeah,
like,
Millie boils.
But like, honestly, there's a fair few of them get like this. Isn't was it Lou had something?
Yeah, Lou was in hospital for a bit.
There's a few others like, just. Get some better soap.
Yeah, what's doing? Give
like
yourself a shower
Boils were there when I was playing.
Yeah,
but not. I've never seen anyone miss a game.
Yeah, but he was in hospital for it. So
well, it's obviously serious, and we hope it's nothing too bad, and he's back on the scene soon. But
I'll give you a line for this one: Dogs by 30 over under.
Oh, I don't like answering that question on a public forum, Charlie. That only comes back to bite me in the arse.
But dogs
should win.
Dogs should be winning extremely
they should do, mate.
comfortably.
But again, like we've seen it a few times.
This could kill you guys if you lost a game like this.
I don't think they're going to lose. I don't think they're going to lose. But sometimes games like this you make hard work of. I could see it being a bit closer because. This isn't a normal reserve team / team of rookies. This is Panthers we're talking about here that know the system. Like, this isn't some complete muppets.
No, it's the team sitting 5th on the New South Wales Cup ladder.
Yeah, but it's not complete muppets is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think you're being coy. I think your Dogs will win by a lot. Friday, this is going to be a great game. It's huge game for the Warriors, like must win. They take on the Parramatta Eels. No changes for either side from the weekend. I've got no idea who wins this game.
I think if both teams play at their best, Eels win.
Yeah, I think so.
But then with it being in New Zealand, and I don't know what Para's level of application for 80 minutes could be.
And they've just come off a good win against the Roosters.
Yeah. And that happens sometimes. You peak for that, and you're pretty happy, and you're traveling. It's a different vibe. The season end is on the horizon.
This is a real pack your jeans for this holiday. If you're Parramatta Eels, this is I've just called it a holiday. It's obviously not a holiday, but you're going to Auckland. You got one game to go after this. Surely this is where you have a huge night out as a team and enjoy that after the game.
If you win, which could.
If you lose, you can't go out.
It's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same. I mean, you'd probably go for a look.
Well, maybe they'll lift for that.
Yeah, maybe they'll lift for that. I've got a sneaky suspicion Para are going to win this one.
All right. They're paying only $2.40 on Ladbrokes as well. It's a tight game on the betting market.
I've got a good feeling about the Eels for this one.
Obviously, Storm v Chook spoke about Bellamy 600th. We spoke about the players being rested. Nelson's back for the Storm, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. And Daniel Tupu back for the Roosters, but obviously no Sam Walker.
Yeah, and we know the Roosters' record against the Storm. It isn't great. I cannot see a world in which Bellamy loses his 600th game. And I know they're missing a few, some through choice, but Roosters without Sam Walker, it's hard to know which Roosters team turn up. With him in the team, I think he bought so much out of that playing roster, and they've still got some great players: Tedesco, Nafahu White.
Their pack can match it with Melbourne's easily.
Nwangani Tuasi. It's going to be a good game, but the Roosters and their creativity is going to be affected. I'm looking at Melbourne still, and obviously Hughes is due back next week, all for finals, but you don't know how that's going to go. I'm still not sure who, because I assumed that Pezzett was going to take over, but Wishart is killing it.
And this week, Pezzett's been pushed to the bench.
Yeah,
I mean, he obviously would have played in the bench as well. Last week as well.
But I don't know. I'm wondering where Melbourne go with this. Where they go, because I don't know if you ideally changing your 7 through the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's an ideal that you'd be looking for, setting yourself up for, all right, we've got Pezzett on the bench and he'll come on for Wishart and Wishart will go to lock. I don't know if that's, interesting. So close, because I assumed I thought Pezzett would be having the 7 by now.
Talk is that Hughes will come back next week. If that's the case, just thinking about it, Munster probably gets rested for that one next week. So you go Wishart Hughes.
Yeah.
And then, or do you just save Hughes for finals? Why are you playing him in that game if you're not playing for anything necessarily?
I wouldn't play him.
Yeah. All right. You got stormed by a lot, though.
Not by a lot, because Roosters know Roosters have got something to play for. They need a scalp.
Yeah.
And they're not expected to win. But no, I think
Tony's just dropped his phone for anyone listening wondering why Jimmy laughed.
Knock on, Tony. No, Melbourne win, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good game.
Yep. Saturday, 3:00 game. It's actually a sellout, or nearly a sellout for the Canberra Raiders against the West Tigers. Tamale's back in place of Savage, who's done for the year, which is a shame. Big Savage. Loss for them.
Devastated for him. There's injuries are hard to process mentally at the best of times, but it's a shit situation for Savage. And my thoughts are with him at this time when everybody else is super excited and he has to sit there and put that smile on. Be hard for him. And I'm sure Ricky Stewart and the staff will be around him and looking after him, making sure he's okay. But it's a really tough spot for him. From a footballing perspective, Tamale, like, he is a gun. He'll be welcome back. He is something
so strong. He's like a little Brian Toto.
His tackle breaking ability is arguably the best in the NRL. So he'll come back. But this is it's a tricky game for the Raiders, this one. And they would have been so up after last week, that emotional crash and the level of importance they put on Charter on a flight back. And the Tigers now come into town almost free from this bit of pressure they put on themselves that they could make finals if they kept winning. That's gone. And obviously no Adam Dewey, but this is a danger game for the Raiders. I do think they'll win, but again, it's one of those games that wouldn't surprise you if the Tigers plucked the victory out of nowhere.
Yeah, man, the Tigers have looked fantastic.
Yeah,
the last time these two sides played, it was a really close game as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
at Campbelltown, I think that game was. So no, it should be a good game. Then the 5:30 game, Dragon Seagulls, dead even the betting for this on Ladbrokes, which I find strange because Manly everything to play for, Dragons nothing to play for. It is obviously Tyrell Sloan's been brought back into the team. Jack DeBell and Jaden Sue and Hamasele will return from injury. Manly are unchanged.
Yeah, they'll be boosted by the return, the Dragons, but you've got to imagine with Manly's win last week that they're starting to get excited.
Yeah, I almost think Manly are like a lock for this game.
I don't trust them enough to be a lock, but I think they'll win. But I wouldn't be locking them in.
You wouldn't be for this game?
No, you can't trust them.
Yeah. They're a bit of a bogey team sometimes, the Dragons, for Manly as well. But you've got Manly winning in a tight one. Then finally, the Cowboys' final game of the season on Saturday.
Because they have the bye round 27.
They've got the bye, which if your team's sitting 15th, 14th, wherever they are, that is a blessing.
Happy days. Season's over. I can't see that helping them out in the performance, though. I think the Broncos are building nicely, and with a top 4 spot potentially on the line, I think they're going all in. I think the Broncos will win convincingly. Could
be an emotional game, though, for the Cowboys because Jordan McLean today has announced his retirement. You would have gone up against him a fair bit, Jimmy, I imagine. He's decided to retire.
Yeah, what a player. He's amazing from row. How old is he?
He's in his mid-30s.
Is he?
Yeah.
He still looks like he gets around pretty well.
He's moving well.
Yeah.
He's moving well. He's probably just decided enough's enough. He didn't have a contract for next year.
Yeah, I guess fair play. I'm surprised.
33, thanks, Tony.
He's only 33.
33, turns 34 in October.
Yeah. I'm surprised he maybe didn't look to go. You don't know his situation, but he's a great player. I mean, that will add to the emotion, but I think the Broncos will win convincingly.
Adam Reynolds could be back as well. He's in the extended squad, so look for him to maybe come in. The Cronulla Sharks against the Newcastle Knights, Sunday 2:00 game. The Knights still in a spoon battle. It's going to obviously be a messy week for them.
It is. I like Colquhoun starting to take over from McInnes. We asked a question about who gets that leadership role. I really like Jesse Colquhoun. I like watching him play, and now, through unfortunate circumstances, he gets that responsibility.
Kaeliro back, which is big for the Sharks.
Good for their attack. He's a go-to strike centre. But Colquhoun I think will be relishing this for a young player that I think has got so much more to give, and he's been restricted because of the quality of his teammates. I think he'll grow into this role. I think he'd be great. Sharks by plenty.
Sharks by a lot, yeah. But Sharks can still make the top 4 as well.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Broncos and Sharks very much in the top 4 race because they're for and against compared to the Warriors is a lot better.
They just need one more win.
And the
Warriors win 2, Warriors win 1, they win 1, Warriors win 0.
Yeah, because then the Sharks next week have the Dogs. So
who may
Rest.
Rest.
Well, they could literally have absolutely nothing to play for the Dogs.
Yeah.
They can't fall. They can't catch second, and they can't fall to fourth. So you imagine they would just rest everyone.
Yeah, potentially.
Then finally, Jimmy, the Gold Coast Titans travel to Suncorp to take on the Dolphins. I'm sure this will be a packed crowd, given it's two Southeast Queensland rivals. Code Nikorima back at 5'8". The for and against is probably going to decide finals potentially. So the Dolphins need to get as many points as possible against the Gold Coast Titans.
If it's dry, I'm backing over 70 points in this game.
Yeah. How many of them for the Dolphins? 60?
44.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means.
44 to 26, that would be.
Or it could be 44 to 56 for the Titans. This has got points written absolutely all over it. The Dolphins with a chance of finals, they've fallen off a bit of a cliff as of late. Maybe all that, all those games and the injuries have caught up with them.
Herbie felt like the final sort of nail in the coffin for them injuries wise.
Yeah, wasn't ideal seeing him pull up like that against the Warriors, and that cost them in that game. And but I think the Dolphins will get the win.
I think they won that game, didn't they? Didn't Jermaine Osako score?
Oh yes, he did. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But since then they haven't won since then. So
I forgot about that. Osako last minute, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Snuck in. That was one of the good things. Mate, this year,
down
think
to
about
12 players as well.
The crazy finishes. It's hard to sort of rank them even. Even just the moments like the Mark Nwanga Nituase, hop, skip, and a chip.
Yeah, it's funny. Premier League to see Newcastle v Liverpool. A 16-year-old scored the last minute winner.
Wow,
for Liverpool,
Newcastle
for Liverpool 3-2. But we're spoilt. It's been sensational.
And then who have you got in that one? Dolphins.
Yeah. That's it.
Carter Gordon, I should say, a chance of playing this one as well. He's in the Titans reserves.
That'd be good to see him.
Yeah.
But Titans, it's been a tough week. Hard to know what the atmosphere is like or should be like. Obviously, Hazard known it's come to an end, but he's got these 2 games. I mean, a strange situation to say the least, but I think the Dolphins should get the win.
I think the Titans can probably win this game on Sunday, and they've got the Tigers in the last game of the season who, they might have nothing to play. They do have nothing to play for. I could see.
I know where you're going with this, and that
there's still hope for Titans fans.
Laid back Titans, but no, Dolphins all day.
All right. Good to see you, Jimmy.
Likewise, Charlie. We'll catch you all next week.